stage, Mike Zakarian.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. Happy Thursday. Hope everybody enjoyed their morning off from the NBA bit yesterday. If you missed out, the 89 Cavs returned last night for a little midsummer edition where we did a bunch of what ifs. It was a lot of fun. We did a bunch of what ifs of like recent NBA history. So that was last night. You can either get that in podcast form. I've been uploading the 89 Cavs pod to the Team Hold / NBA bit feed as well. So just in case you don't subscribe to the 89 Cavs, although you should, or go watch it back in YouTube form. We'll be back again tomorrow morning. We'll have another NBA bit in the morning at 9 a.m. Who do we got here this morning? I see Sneeps. Oh, yeah, Tandy's show. Everybody check out Tandy and our friend Sean on Tandy's show later this afternoon for his little 2-year anniversary. We the People's here. Stubbs, good morning. Bodavine's here. DJ Local in the house. That's right. Football's back, right? Who's it? The Cleveland Browns and is it the Jets? Is Browns and Jets tonight? Pack Trip's here. We got Snoopaloop, Regulator. All the friends are here. It's also Grab Some Nuts Day. Okay. It's also Happy National IPA Day. A lot of fun days happening today. Weisberg's going to join us here in a second. We're going to look at the Western Conference this week and do some over-unders. And then next week, we'll do the Eastern Conference next Thursday. I think that's it for stuff for like announcement stuff. Again, we're like, scraping together content and there's no NBA news. It's been very, very quiet, which makes sense. It's the beginning of August, so it makes sense. And I don't think we have, we dropped a So Rare video on Monday, I think that was. So if you haven't looked at that, go check that out. But I think that's it. So we're just going to dive right in. So make sure you like the stream, subscribe to the channel, join the Discord, click all the links in the show notes. But Weisberg is joining us. Mike, how are we doing, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Doing well. Wow, Jump Shoot right away gave us $5 to sing happy birthday. I tell you, we'll see. We can do that towards the end. We'll do that towards the end of the show. We're not going to do that right now, Jump Shoot. But
have you shot Tandy a video? I know Tandy's got some content today coming.
No, I have not shot. I've seen a couple of people who have shot one. I've seen people have shot videos, but I haven't done it yet. Have you?
It's funny. I was planning on doing it shortly after our broadcast today, but yeah, I'll send over something before his broadcast around 2 or 3.
Yeah, and it's not his actual birthday, right? It's his channel's birthday.
Channel birthday.
Okay, cool. Yeah, well, we'll do that at the end, Jump Shoot. I have that starred. We'll come back to it. And if I forget, I'll send you $5 right back. All right, let's get into some of this stuff. Is there actually anything besides this over-unders that you wanted to talk about? Was there anything you need to get off your chest?
I mean, it's pretty dead. Like from a news perspective, obviously, we're still waiting for Dame. We're still waiting for Harden. Their numbers have been taken off the board in Vegas. I don't know if you found any numbers for the Blazers
no.
or the Clippers. Both of those teams are off the board right now in Vegas.
I still see Clippers. I see Sixers. I do not see who was the other one, the Blazers. I don't see them on there. And I don't see Miami, I don't think either. No, I do see Miami too. I see Miami as well. But I think based on those numbers, I'm seeing Miami's numbers. It's baked in that I think they assume Dame will be there.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, let's start with the West. Let's dive in. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna start at the bottom and work our way up. And so the chat, feel free to flame us as we go. But the first one here is, I was kind of surprised by this. It's the Spurs, and I guess they really like the Rockets' offseason moves and feels like they've improved the most. But they've got, and I guess this is also because Portland's number is not on the board, but they have the Spurs at 29.5. I don't know. What's your first thought of that? With I mean, right? They've added Wemby. They bring back Keldon Johnson, Trey Jones, Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sohan in year 2. I can't think if they've had any other moves than that, but I don't know. What do we think about the Spurs?
I mean, I actually didn't mind the draft overall, but I would just take the under. I had it at 30.5 was where I found it, but different strokes, different folks. Take the under, given that Wemby is going to be on a pitch count, for lack of a better term. Fact is one of the youngest rosters in the league, and historically, you have a few teams win under 30 games every year. There's only been 1 year in the last 5 years where we had basically more than like the best way I can describe it is we had like one team win less than 30 games, and I think the 17-18 season. So like, or win less than 30 games. So like as a relative thing, there's going to be multiple teams that are going to lose 30 games every year.
You know what I hate about this is that I feel like you have to decide if they're going to try to lose games. I think if they, you know what I mean? Like if they get to that point where they're like, let's actually just get a really good draft pick. If that happens, I do like the under. But I think like just as their roster is constructed, I feel like they could win 30 games. I feel like, if they tried, I think like I legit think Wemby's going to make everybody else a little bit better. Like definitely defensively, like they're going to have two defensive monsters on the court at all times in Wemby and Sohan. Like I think, and I'm excited to see if Sohan can add anything to his offensive game. But like Devin Vassell didn't play for like most of the year, and Keldon Johnson played like every other game. So, but again, then you have to like decide if Pop is going to like try to win these games, or if they're going to like get to February and be like, let's just try to get a top 5 pick, even though this draft class is supposed to suck.
Yeah, this draft class isn't great. But the better draft class is right now projected is going to be the one 2 years from now with Cooper Flagg, which I never saw that spicy thing posted in the Discord between Cooper Flagg and Bradley Beal.
So I did, right? So for those that don't know, was this at Tatum's camp or something? Or
Tatum's camp.
Tatum's camp. Cooper Flagg, who is going to be a prospect in not this coming draft, but the next one. And he's got some mixtapes all over the place. You can find them. Apparently, he was playing Bradley Beal, and I think Beal was like, "This is a high school kid. I'm not going to go hard." And then Flagg started talking like crazy shit during the game while he was cooking Bradley Beal, and then Bradley Beal got like legit mad. That's what I saw. But I thought that was a bit. I thought that was like a fake thing.
No, that's apparently that's a Brian Scalabrine thing. Said the rumor he heard was that Flagg kind of cooked Brad Beal, which is interesting. But yeah, I'll take the under on the Spurs.
I think the under's smart, but I'm gonna take the over. I'm gonna believe that Popovich is gonna be like, dude, I'm tired of losing on purpose. So I'm gonna go
bad. You think he gives a fuck about winning right now? Like with this team as it is? No,
probably not. But I don't know. Because this was like the first year that they've ever intentionally tanked, right?
Yeah.
Since Tim Duncan.
Yeah, as a Celtics fan, don't remind me of that. Yeah. That's great. Really great. Hearing Tim Duncan not go to the Celtics in '99. Really exciting.
Right?
Rockets, Mike. The Rockets.
Yeah, the Rockets are at 31.5. I'm seeing here. Also, I'm using the DraftKings Sportsbook, so I'm not sure if that's lining up with what you have. But Houston at 31.5. Houston added who? Dylan Brooks. They added Fred VanVleet. They added Ime Udoka. They added Jock Landale. And then they've got Jalen Green a little bit older, Şengün a little bit older, Jabari Smith looking like a monster in a summer league. I have no idea what to make of this team. I feel like everyone's going to say over. What do you feel about with Houston?
So last year's quote unquote surprise team was the Jazz, who were projected to win 25.5 games according to DraftKings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jazz ended up winning 37 games, have a super strong start, and kind of fade at the end. I think the Rockets could be kind of similar.
Okay.
Given you look at last year's roster, they won 25 games, despite all kinds of, for lack of a better term, bullshittery.
Mm-hmm.
And as Regulated points out, they don't own their pick next season, which is important.
Right.
They had roster issues. They had coaching issues. They had like general youth, just Jalen Green kind of acting a little wild. I like their overall roster, and I think they're going to go well over the 31.5. I don't know if they win like 35, 36, but I think 31.5 is a good number, but I take the over.
I love that you said I'm going well over 31.5, but then you were like not 35. So
no, not 36. Like 35 I could do, but like winning 4 or 5 games over is a lot. Like relative to Vegas.
I think you're right. I think I would take the over here. The one thing I will say is that I do think they got a lot better. and then I look around and I think everyone else also got a lot better. Like, I don't know how many teams, especially in the Western Conference, got legitimately worse, or like worse enough that they're going to put themselves into that category. But I do think they made so many upgrades. Like, just the fact that, everybody gave up on Steven Silas like in October, and you had players leaving at halftime of games. You had just different guys taking turns, taking 20 shots a game. I like that. Just that alone is probably worth 5 wins. So I'm with you. I think that's a little bit higher.
And I think they're going to take a step up defensively. It may not be super apparent early on, but I think defensively they're going to buy in, even given their youth. So taking the over.
I think the one concern that I have for them is like the young guys feel like Dylan Brooks and Fred VanVleet is like 70 minutes a game now that has been taken off of the table. And I think with all these young guys who are looking for more, more playing time, like what does this mean for dudes like Tari Eason, Jabari Smith? I mean, Jabari Smith's fine, Kevin Porter Jr., but some of those guys, like, how does that mesh? But again, you have somebody like Udoka in the locker room now. And outside of banging people at work, he's shown that he's created a pretty solid culture. So I imagine that makes Houston a little bit better. So yeah, I like the over there. He's a great team leader. He's a great team leader.
Great team leader.
Yeah, I like that one too. The next one in the Western Conference, you just started talking about them. The Utah Jazz are at 35.5, which it's funny because if you told me it was 35.5 last year, I'd be like, that's way too high. Under. And then Utah ended up being almost a playoff team until they decided to take themselves out of the playoff race. So I don't know. How do you feel about Utah and some of the moves they made for this season? And did they just like overachieve last year?
I don't know. I think there was a lot of moving parts given the roster construction. Remember, they trade Conley at the deadline. They certainly had to build a team on the fly. Will Hardy's second year, I think that's important, given that he kind of imparted his own defensive identity on this team. It's difficult to see them win 35 games in this West, I think. I'd probably take the under, but not by much. I do like Keontae George, the kid they got in the first round. I think he'll be an impact player for them. I just don't know that offensively they can score enough. And the other question is, does Lauri Markkanen kind of take a leap? He was an All-NBA guy last year, or All-NBA adjacent, basically. Does he kind of stay at this level, relatively speaking? And obviously we got our guy THT,
There you go. Yeah, people want the drop. I'll do that. And before I hit the THT drop, I want people in the chat to guess how old they think Lauri Markkanen is. Throw that into the chat. Here's some THT love. THT, So I think to go back to the Lauri thing, now that people have looked it up and said 26, I think, Lauri had been around for a little bit, and I think people thought he was maybe a little bit older, and last year was the first year that we saw him like thrive in this new spot. I love it. I love Lauri. I love Utah. I think he can take another leap. I am nervous. Like, that number feels right. That number feels like exactly right. So I don't think I would touch this one. But it's true. Like, Keontae George is fun. Taylor Hendricks, that was like their top 10 pick, their 9th pick. He's fun as well. But they still are going to have like the same questions come February that they had last season, which is like, yeah, sure, we love having Jordan Clarkson here. What do we do with Jordan Clarkson? Like, who are we actually keeping? Are we trying to make a run right now? They're also another team, too, that has like a ton of assets and space. Like, because, when the Dame conversation started happening, they were like, that is a team that could make a run at Dame. I don't think that's what they're going to do. But like, if they do get off to a hot start, there's still always the like potential similar, they're the worst version of OKC with this, but they have enough assets that they could like make a real run at somebody come trade deadline. But I'm with you. I think I would say under here and not feel comfortable about it.
And Danny Ainge is patient, man. Like, say what you want about him in terms of making trades and making adjustments on rosters. we have a decade plus of watching Danny Ainge as a GM. We kind of know with this kind of roster what he's going to do. He's going to tinker with it on the edges. He's going to let this team grow, but he's not going to let this team win enough games to make a real impact in this particular West, given how jumbled 7-1 is. So, yeah, I think the under is about the better play.
I also think one other thing to consider, like, do you think Lauri Markkanen gets better or worse after serving time in the military? Like, is that good off-season prep? You know?
I don't know. It's a good question. Does serving in the military help you on a Tuesday night against Zion? I don't know. Possible.
Yeah. Is he playing for Finland for FIBA too? Like, do they say, hey, you can take a break because you're still technically serving your country?
That's a good question. Let me look that up and see if he is playing for FIBA right now.
And if you're in his platoon, are you bullshit that Lauri Markkanen gets to leave to go play basketball for a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I would be certainly pretty annoyed. Like, I'm out here serving my country, and this guy gets to go back and play basketball. Like, that's kind of bullshit. I'd be a little annoyed. Regulator asked the right question. Is he a sniper?
Only if he's a sniper. There you go. There you go. All right. So one fun thing here now, scrolling up in the after the Jazz at 35.5, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Eastern Conference teams in a row. So which goes back to your point about how 1 through 7 of the West is going to be so jumbled together. Granted, again, the Trailblazers don't have a number listed here. But the next one we come to, which I think is kind of fascinating, we actually have 1, 2, 3, 4 Western Conference teams all at this number right now. So we'll start with the Oklahoma City Thunder at 43.5. 43.5 for OKC. OKC adds Chet Holmgren, who's healthy again. They had their draft pick, Cason Wallace, who's coming back. Outside of that, no other big like offseason moves, acquisitions, or anything like that. But I don't know. How are we feeling about OKC?
One, you don't think Rudy Gay, big offseason acquisition?
I don't.
By the way, Lauri Markkanen is playing for Finland, just as an FYI. 5 Jazz players playing FIBA. Yeah, it's as far as the Thunder go, this is one of those intriguing teams of super young. I think the league is a little unsure of the path they're going to take, just due to minutes. Like there's such a heavy workload on some of these younger guys in this team. Like, what's Chet Holmgren going to look like in year one? If there's one guy that I would bet on winning Rookie of the Year, I actually think Chet's the most likely scenario, given that Wemby's going to sit a bunch of games and Scoot's going to be in a weird situation early on. Like, I like the idea of Chet winning Rookie of the Year. That said, I just like their pieces, man. Giddey, both Jalen Williamses, they just SGA, obviously. And, like, SGA winning All-NBA is a big leap. Does he kind of stay at that level this year? Does he take a step down to, like, All-NBA second or third team, depending on his year? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think the over is probably the better bet. I think this team is closer to a 5 seed than a 7. Yeah. But if you told me at the end of the year they were like a 7 or an 8 seed, it wouldn't surprise me. But the more you look at this roster, the more that you say a lot of these parts fit. The question is whether they win more than 42.5, 43. I think they win 43 plus.
Yeah, I think so too. Bottom line reminding us they also signed Vasily Micic, which I probably crushed that pronunciation. The EuroLeague MVP. Oh, there we go. So real quick too, I know you mentioned the Rookie of the Year stuff. I think this was this is before Summer League. So I think this was like 6 weeks ago, maybe. I gave out Chet Holmgren Rookie of the Year at plus 750. It's now plus 350. So the line, I'm just saying we were just giving out winners a couple months ago. And he might not win, but at least you got good value on it if you got it. I know I got it at plus 750. I'm very excited about that. I have to, like, legally I'm required to take the over here on OKC. I just think, listen, what did they win this year? They went 42, 44, something like that. Let me look, something like that. I think they're going to get better. I think their biggest issue, what was so impressive about this OKC team last year was that they were able to mitigate the fact that they had no big men. And they played this like weird style of defense of like this where guards
They won
were
40
just
games, by the way.
40 games, sorry, thanks. Where they were this weird style of defense where everybody was kind of crashing the boards and they were playing really small. They were like small, but they were long. And I think adding somebody like Chet is such a difference maker for them where they finally have a rim protector. I know they really like Kenrich Williams, but now they have a rim protector that's out there that can also continue to add to the offensive game. As we've seen, he's still like Chet's got a handle, he's got a jumper. So I think if he can be legit for them, and I don't mean like legit in their best player, but if he is not hurting them by being out on the floor offensively, it keeps like allows the spacing to continue. I just think they're going to be really, really good because of the way they already defend. Like SGA, you already mentioned, right? Took the All NBA leap this year. I think he's going to be somebody that's going to be in the NBA MVP conversation. Not going to win it, but I think he's going to be top 5. And then you get Josh Giddey, who got a little bit better last year. And if his shot continues to improve, and then both J-Dubs, Jalen Williams or J-Dub and J Will. J-Dub, who I didn't realize this until last night, should have been on the Clippers. That was a Paul George gift. But he's coming into year 2. He looks awesome. Jay Will, again, is another big that stretches the floor. I don't know. I think they're going to be really good. I think they're going to be this year's Sacramento Kings, where I think they probably get bounced in the first round of the playoffs, but they host the series.
Yeah, Jay Will, I actually think has a real chance of being like a good to great shooter on this team. Like a very, very good shooter. The question is just going to become how many threes he's going to get a game on this roster. But I like, given the spacing with Chet at the 4 or the 5, even the 3 at times, like they're just going to be in a really good spot. I love this Thunder team. Taking the over.
Yeah, I am too. I'm really excited about it. People want the Dort Report. Yeah, I'll give you that too. So here's your warning. The Dort Report's about to be played. You can turn the volume down. We're staying with the 43.5 numbers. We're going to Minnesota. The Timberwolves are next. They're at 43.5. They have Rudy, Cat, Ant-Man got his big extension. Conley's still there. I don't even know who Pat Bev. They lost Pat Bev this season. I don't even know if they had any other key additions or subtractions. I don't know. How you feeling about Minnesota?
It's difficult to look at this team and fully understand what they are without knowing how many games Karl-Anthony Towns can play. Like the consistent issue with Cat has been injury stuff and like big picture life stuff. Like he's been through a lot, you know. Like everyone knows the stuff with his family with COVID. He's just been through a ton of shit in Minnesota the last couple years. You know, his best friend's no longer on the team in D'Lo. It's a weird team because I do love McDaniels, as Regulator notes. McDaniels extension should happen. By all accounts. But I think they offensively they got better towards the end of the year as they started figuring out the Gobert fit next to Cat. But like the question on this team's ceiling is obviously going to be what's going to happen with Anthony here, right? Like, is he going to take the leap into an All NBA guy? You know, and that's what it comes down to.
He definitely shown signs of it at times, right? It was inconsistent, but his ceiling was pretty high. I agree with you. I think it's like impossible to figure out. I will say the chat is screaming under here, but I'm having a tough time with this one only because we never really saw what this team looked like. Cat got hurt in November and like didn't come back until what was like late March or something. Rudy also, we saw Rudy have a little bit of a decline this past season, both offensively and defensively. But again, he's like your 3rd or 4th best guy. That's not as big of a problem, except the fact that you pay him as much as you do. I don't know. I think I might have the same take I had last year, which was wrong. I think I'm going to take the over and I think they do win a lot of regular season games. I think they do. And I do think Anthony Edwards takes a little bit of a leap. Listen, if you listen to Bruce Brown said the Timberwolves were their hardest out in the playoffs, which was 100% needling the Suns, I think. But go ahead.
They also have like 10 centers on this team. Like their spacing is going to be weird. And the other thing I'd note is like you're looking at a team like a really questionable ownership that just took over the last couple of years with not a lot of
They
money
didn't even.
built
I
up.
don't even think that's official yet. I don't think they've officially.
Yeah, they're not.
It's the weirdest thing.
It's one of the odder things in a league where ownership is generally pretty stable. For those that don't know, the A-Rod led ownership group. Who's the other guy in that ownership group? I'll look it up in a second. But the Mark Laurie, that's what it is. The Mark Laurie A-Rod ownership group allegedly has some money issues, and they haven't been able to buy out Glenn Taylor, which is wild because Glenn Taylor took a discount to give them that team at like $1.5 billion. So yeah, I all of it feels weird. I'm still going to lean with you here. I'll take the over, thinking that Cat is going to stay healthy, and they figure out some of the spacing issues with Gobert. But the question to me is whether Edwards is going to take that leap. We'll see.
Yeah, I hope so. I like Ant-Man. I want Ant-Man to be fun. So I'm with you. All right, let's stay 43.5, right? What was the next one? Hold on, let me pull it up. Next one. Oh,
Kings.
New Orleans Pelicans. Oh, I get the Pelicans and the Kings. Do it. Let's do Pels first at 43.5. So Pels, we got Zion's stuff. Like if he's going to play, it all really boils down to that. I don't really care about anything else. Like if Zion is healthy, they probably win more. If he plays 20 games, they probably win less. I don't know what else to do with that. How do you feel?
Did anyone else have a worse offseason than Zion Williamson, by and large? Like, without doing anything bad necessarily.
Yeah.
Did anyone have a worse PR offseason than Zion? Probably not.
Lizzo right now. Lizzo. But
Well,
that's about it.
well, true. Yeah, I mean, look, this roster's been pretty consistent. You know, like the CJ, Brandon Ingram, Zion roster, we know what they are. But we also know what they're not. They're not a very good defensive team. They get cooked in pressure situations. Defensively, I like some of their pieces. You know, Herb Jones, obviously awesome. They re-signed him. Trey Murphy has been great, both offensively and defensively. I think there's a chance he takes a little bit of a leap this year. I'm taking the under on this team. I just think there's too much mess going on. And with not knowing how healthy Zion's going to be, I think you take the under. And by a pretty healthy number, too. Like, this is a team that I think may only win, like, 35 to 37 games, relatively speaking.
I'm gonna go the other way. I promise I will see an under. So I'm gonna take the over. So I think Zion's gonna play this year. Jump Shoot said they gave up on Herb Jones. They just extended Herb. They just paid Herb Jones.
They extended him. Yeah.
They have the supporting cast of a championship team where they've got, you know what I mean? Like they've got Herb Jones, who is like that kind of defender that they can go and put somebody on. They've got Jose Alvarado that can win you like a playoff game. They have Trey Murphy, who has like kind of surpassed Herb Jones in the sense that he does a lot of what Herb does defensively, but offensively he's that much better. I don't think they've re-signed Jonas Valanciunas. I think he's still a free agent. I might be wrong about that, but I haven't seen any Jonas news. And I think, like you said, I mean, like I've said this so many times, like when you look at the NBA regular season, 30 games into this year, they were atop the West with the Nuggets. They were like right up there. And I think they can score with anybody. And so I'm gonna take the over on them. I don't feel good about it. It's just me banking on Zion playing more games. But maybe all of the negative PR and the press this year, maybe it finally got to him. It ate away at him, for lack of a better phrase, and then he's gonna come out and cook this year. Wow. I want it. I want Zion. We need Zion to be good, man. If we're not gonna get Ja for 25 games, we need Zion to come out and save that draft class.
Putting a lot of your chips on Zion there, huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna do it. All right, let's go to the Kings though. Oh, go ahead. Were you gonna say something?
Oh, I was just making a how much Zion loves snacks joke. Keep going, it's fine.
Yeah. Let's go to the Light the Beam Bros. Sacramento, also 43.5. Their offseason moves, I guess they brought back Harrison Barnes. That was it, right? They didn't do too much. Rashawn Holmes on the Mavericks now. I don't know. That's kind of it, right? I don't have anything else from the Kings here. I was surprised their number was only 43.5.
I mean, a couple things here. First and foremost, shout out Like the Beam, man.
Yeah.
They from an offseason perspective, they did everything that I thought they would, which is
Yeah.
they extended Harrison Barnes, and then they took Sabonis, the cap space that they had from trading with Sean Holmes, and they basically extended Sabonis that way. I think they're going to be way over 43.5. This team's
Yeah.
going to be really, really good. And if we see a leap from Keegan Murray, which I think we do, he was cooking people in Summer League. And I know it's Summer League, but man, he looked great in the 2 or 3 games he played. There's still going to be defensive questions on this team. Fox certainly took a leap last year. There's going to be real questions of still whether he can stay healthy long term. That's going to impact that win number. That said, I do like year 2 of Mike Brown. I think they are going to be a little bit better on the defensive front, just given that Brown's going to have another year of implementing his defensive system. I'm going to take the over here. I think this is a team that's a top 3 team in the West. Like, I feel really strongly about the Kings.
Wow. I told you I had to start taking some unders. I think I'm gonna take the under here. And it's just based on this. I agree with everything you said. And also, yeah, Boston Bay says predictions on Beam-esque gimmicks this season. That's you. So you think Beams are gonna be you think other teams are gonna try to institute stuff like this? The problem with this though, it has to be shit organizations that turn it around. Like it can't be like the Celtics can't do something like this. It's gotta be like the Pelicans, honestly. It's got to be a team like that.
Are we gonna see what's the name of their mascot, like Baby Cakes? We're gonna see
the Baby Cakes, yeah.
Memes. That'd be kind of fun.
That would be fun.
I don't know what else they could do. The other team that I might say that might do that, I could see the Thunder having some fun gimmicks. I don't know what they're gonna be, but given the roster construction, how much they're gonna win, and like given how young they are, I could definitely see them doing some kind of weird shit.
Yeah. To go back, yeah, Stan says the camera with the bad Kings take again. I know. I think I am going to be wrong on this one, but whatever. We're going to have a take. I think that they were the healthiest team in the league last year, and
Correct.
they really benefited from that. And when you look at how tight the West was, I think for the teams, a lot of the teams that I'm taking the over on are the teams that are lower in the Western Conference. And I think it's because we're just going to see this continue to be super jumbled in the West. And I think everybody's going to be in this like 38 to 45 range outside of like 1 or 2 teams. And so that's kind of where I land on the Kings. And I don't think they made themselves a lot better. I mean, I think there is something to be said about, yes, Keegan Murray should take a leap in his second year. They should get better defensively just because they've all played together a little bit longer. But I thought they had a real opportunity to upgrade that Harrison Barnes position, and they kind of just ran it back with Harrison Barnes. And I get it. He likes being there. They like having him there. But I don't know. That seemed to be like, yeah, listen, no disrespect to Top Shot's own Harrison Barnes, but I just kind of I feel like there was an opportunity to improve a little bit. And maybe it is them just banking on that Keegan Murray's going to get a little bit better. But I don't know. I feel like you look around the West, a lot of teams, you know, if they were as healthy as the Kings were, I think I would take all of them over the Kings, you know? In the regular
got a lot of gifted packs in the account in Harrison Barnes. Open some of those up. That said, look, I don't entirely disagree. I just think that like what this team does on a night-to-night basis, they're just going to win a ton of games. Like,
yeah,
they know they have a couple things going for them. They know what their identity is offensively. Defensively, while they haven't like won in the playoffs, they've taken one of the best teams historically over the last, 5 to 7 years in the Warriors and took them to a 7-game series. I think that matters leading into a regular season. I think you do take a second-year leap after those kind of years. So I feel pretty good about taking them as the 3 seed in the West. Like, I think they're going to host a first round easy. 3 or 4, but like closer to 3, frankly.
I'm more apt to say this year that they'd finish like a 6 seed, but win a first round playoff series. Like I can see them. Yeah, I can see them doing that. But that's the one I feel the most wrong about. So there you go. That's how I feel. Somehow I was shocked by this. The Mavericks have a higher over under than all the teams we just listed at 45.5. And I guess they're just saying that, well, Luke is skinny now. We saw photos of him in Slovenia. So Luke is skinny. Kyrie shaved his beard, I think. So they're excited about that. They got Seth Curry. They're excited about who did they get with they traded with the Thunder. Who is the pick that they got?
Look at the graphic. They got Grant Williams.
Oh, they got Grant Williams too. I Grant.
Their draft pick was what am I blanking on? Derek Lively.
Lively.
Awesome
That's right.
in Summer League.
That's
awesome
right.
in Summer League. And the wing they got, OMP, Oliver Maxence Prosper. He's gonna be really good too. I don't know where he's gonna get the minutes on this roster.
Yeah.
But they did really, really well this offseason in terms of construction.
Yeah. So I don't know. Do you think you have them over 45.5 with all that being said?
It's so hard to win 46, 47 games. And given how tough this West is going to be, it's going to come down to a few things. How healthy or how available is Kyrie going to be? That's the first question. Luka looks in incredible shape. He's been playing his ass off in FIBA. I know FIBA hasn't started yet, but you look at him in practice, that dude is ready to fucking go. For the second straight year, by the way, that he is ready to go leading into the season. I think that should give Mavericks fans some signs of confidence. I like the Grant Williams sign and trade. Giving Grant 30 minutes a game, I think, will be interesting on the offensive end. But certainly defensively, he brings them up a level. I'm going to take the under, though. I think it's difficult to see them win that many games.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to take the under, but I'm going to give it one caveat here. If they are over, Luka's winning MVP this year. I don't think it'll be close. If they hit the over, Luka wins the MVP. Because I mean, Kyrie's only going to play 52 games, right? That's what's going to happen. I do think they absolutely have a better supporting cast that they did last year. I'm excited about those rookies that we talked about, OMP and Lively. I think it does help. Grant, I do think is going to be a great fit there. Seth Curry, I think, is like a low-key awesome offseason move for them. And you want to just, I mean, he's going to shoot like 50% from three this year, I bet. But yeah, I think I lean under just because I don't trust Jason Kidd. I don't trust Kyrie Irving. And those are two of the most important pieces on that in that organization right now. But again, I do like, if you think they're going to be over, like if you're like, oh, I don't know how to go over and under, I think I lean over. I would just bet Luka to win MVP instead. Because I really do. Because that means if they win over, what did we say was 45.5?
45.5.
45.5, right? So say they get up to 50. Like, okay, there we go. Top Shot comment says Mavs win 50. If they win 50, that's a top 3 seed in the West. And that means they at least beat one of, if not two of, the Nuggets and Suns go 1-2. That means they finish ahead of the Lakers, the Clippers, the Warriors, the Kings, all these squads, and they're going to look at that roster. Luka's going to be MVP. So I would make that bet instead of going the over under on the Mavericks.
And look, here's the other thing. If they win 50 games, you look at the historical numbers, and I'm going to bring this up when we talk Suns a little bit later, Suns and Warriors, frankly, but basically the concept of winning 50 plus games is much harder than people realize in the NBA, particularly in the West over the last 5 years. If you look at the overall numbers over the last 5 years, we've seen as many teams in a season win 5 teams have won 50 games in a season, or as little as 1. But do we think it's closer to a couple teams winning 50 and you're betting it's the Mavericks? That's a big bet relative to the rest of the West. That's something you should consider when doing an over-under here. That's just a lot of wins, but 45.5 feels like a right number. I'm going to take the under, but not by much.
Yeah, it feels close. It does feel close. All right, next up on this list with the same 45.5 number, the Memphis Grizzlies. So they pick up Marcus Smart. They lose Dillon Brooks. They lose Ja Morant for a handful of games. They lose Tyus Jones as well. I can't remember if they've had any other additions, but Marcus Smart being the most important one out of that list. I have no idea what to do with this team. Where are you landing with them?
I mean, here's what I would just say about this roster as of now. Like, they're kind of confusing, relatively speaking. Hold on one second. I'm pulling up some stats here. I apologize. I just I don't know what this team is going to be without Ja and not having Tyus Jones. Like, do we think that they? I think Marcus is going to be a help defensively. I think Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to take a leap, as you said in your So Rare video earlier this week. But like, I could see them winning a ton of games, but still finishing under this 45 and a half number. I Desmond Bane's going to be awesome, but how healthy is he? Like,
yeah, this is the.
There's so many real roster questions. Taylor Jenkins in his third or fourth year now with this team. Like, I wonder how big of an impact having adults in the room like a Marcus Smart and a Derrick Rose are going to matter for Ja this year. But as far as their overall win total, like, this may be a team that could make the second round, but also finish 6th or 7th in the West.
Yeah, this is under for me. This is under. Like, they don't have their best player for almost a third of the season. I agree. I mean, I love Jaren Jackson Jr. I love Desmond Bane. I think they're great players. But again, like, the problem they run into is the shit teams got less shittier, and the teams that were in the mid range also got better. And I think they're one of the few teams that didn't get better. And that's why I know the Kings got dinged a little bit, and I dinged the Kings a little bit. Similarly, I just think everybody around them got better, and they didn't. I think Marcus Smart does address some stuff. They don't get Brandon Clark back until the middle of the year. They're relying on Steven Adams, who I know is I think just turned 29, which is wild, but they're relying on him to be super healthy. There's just way too many question marks, and you go night to night. Are you expecting, Desmond Bane's going to have to average 25 a night for you? Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to have to average 20 and 10 a night. I just think that's asking a lot for this team whose best player is going to their best player, who gets hurt a lot anyways, is going to miss the first 25 games of the year. So then he, even if he plays the rest of the games, that's tough to hit that number. And I don't know. I think, Joker Rock in the chat, boots on the ground, says we'll miss Tyus tremendously. Yeah, I think so too. I mean, it did get you Marcus Smart, which I think is good. But I just, if Ja was healthy, if Ja was healthy, they'd be over. This would be over, but the number would also be higher. And
way too many Santi Aldama minutes projected right now.
Yeah.
Just like guys who you look at this you look up and down this roster. Steven Adams, Santi Aldama, Desmond Bane, Josh Christopher's on this team now, which people forgot about.
Conchar,
part of it's right. Conchar, Luke Kennard as a 6-man 2-guard. Our guy David Roddy, big body Roddy, even going to be getting minutes. We're
getting Kenny Lofton minutes this year.
Oh, I think Kenny's gonna be playing a lot of minutes this year. So yeah, man, I'm taking the under on them. I just don't feel super confident in where they are.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm way under. This is the only one that I would bet on right now. The next one's a little bit tricky. It's 46.5, but we don't know, is James Harden going to be on the team? The Clippers lost some ancillary pieces. They brought Russ back supposedly. Oh, Kawhi just had a knee surgery that was supposed to be minor. Paul George is supposed to be back. They lost Eric Gordon. I don't think they made any other additions of note, but are still circling the James Harden rumor. So I don't know. This feels like this number seems like Kawhi and Paul George are playing a full season.
So there's a couple things here on the Clippers. First and foremost, where I've been kind of looking, they'd been off the board. So from me giving you a bunch of in-depth analysis here, there's going to be me going a little more off the cuff. Here's what I'll say. Look, this is going to come down to Kawhi and PG playing a ton. Saw Ty Lue recently in a podcast say, it's not like these guys don't want to play. Well, they clicked. Look, Kawhi quit in the second half last year. Literally just quit.
Yeah.
Just played in the first half. Was like, I'm not playing in the second. This is obviously going to come down to whether they get Harden, whether they can hit this number to me. This roster feels really incomplete. We don't we know what we know, but we know what we don't know on this team. And what I mean by that is like, how healthy are they going to be, and how consistent can they get real scoring on this team outside of PG and Kawhi? Like,
Yeah.
do we trust Russ, given how old he is at this stage of his career, to put up real numbers? I don't know, man. I don't love it. What was the number? 46.5?
46.5. So they're going to win 47 games.
I'm taking the under, way under. And
Yeah,
Regulator points out the right thing. Tyler's a free agent after this year. They are going into a new stadium shortly. There's just a lot of bullshit going on with this team that like feels like it could all go to hell very, very easily. Like, it wouldn't shock me if we see a Paul George podcast episode of him talking about getting traded mid-year to like the Thunder again.
Yeah.
You know?
What also, We the People, who I know is very sharp, says over, but I also know that you have that Russell Westbrook love. So Kawhi and Paul George both extension eligible, and there's been no conversation around that either. I listen, if you tell me Kawhi, Paul George, they get Harden and they all play over 65 games this year, then yeah, I think they're over. But we haven't seen Kawhi do that since like 2015. We haven't seen Paul George do that as of late. I like that they brought back Russ. I mean, Russ looked awesome the last like 2 weeks.
It's a great number. It's a vet min, basically.
Yeah,
you know,
and he was awesome in that Phoenix series. And again, I think like I don't think I would take the over, but I would take them to win the first round in a playoff series if they're healthy. If that makes sense. I just don't think they're going to play enough games. I don't think they're going to play enough games. So that's where I land. We're going to stay in LA to our next one, and we've got the Lakers at 48.5, fresh off of their conference finals run. They bring back Austin Reeves because no one else offered him anything to make the Lakers pay more. They brought back D'Lo. Malik Beasley's gone, but they got Gabe Vincent. LeBron dropped like a mixtape yesterday of him doing like starting year 21. He wasn't rapping. I just mean that there was like the music for him practicing.
Okay. Yeah.
And I get that the atmosphere, the vibes are a little bit better after this run, but the same argument I've got for the Clippers, I've got for the Lakers. You're telling me this is saying that LeBron and AD are going to play 65 plus games, and in the 2023-2024 year of our Lord, I don't know if that's what's happening when LeBron is my age.
Here's a fun fact. If you take out the bubble year, LeBron's Lakers rosters have an average win total of 38.75.
That's crazy.
Like, and I've been anywhere between third to fifth in the West. Now, here's what we do know. There should be at least a few teams that win 50-plus games, as we noted earlier. The number's a little on the high side, but I don't mind it given this team's roster construction. And also, I like the depth that they have, even on nights where LeBron or AD don't play, or both. I actually will take the over here. I think this is the second best team in the West, more than the Suns. I know that's a bit of a hot take, but like, I think this team can actually win a ton of games.
I'm telling you right now, if they hit the over, LeBron is going to win MVP. Seriously, because the media will just jerk off around this. Like, if LeBron plays 65 games and they win over 50 or 49, I guess would do it. AD does. Or AD,
I think they'd be a bigger groundswell for AD than LeBron in some ways, because AD hasn't won an MVP. Let's say he has a monster year. You know, he's averaging like 25 and 10 or something crazy. And defensively, he's just a monster, as he usually is. Like, if there's one thing you can say about AD, it's that his offensively, he comes and goes. But defensively, he is very, very consistent. Both in space and in one-on-one. Like, he's great. So, yeah, I'm going to take the over here.
Wow, that's spicy. I'm taking the under. I honestly wish I could bet that like 9 teams win over 40 games. That was like the one bet I want to make. I don't think that many win over 50, but 9 win over 40. So I'm going to take the under there just because I don't think they're all going to play. Only a couple left here in the West. The next, with a one game better, the Golden State Warriors 49.5. I feel like you've shared your thoughts about this in the chat before, maybe during a live show, because I have liked the Warriors, but I tell you what, I don't like the number 49.5. Where are you at with Golden State?
I mean, I've been pretty clear. I think this is a 6 seed. The track record of older teams winning a title is pretty thin in today's era. Basically, teams that have an average age around this that win a title have been the LeBron-led Heat in 2011-12. Their average age was 30. Basically, all of the Spurs titles in from 2012, those or 2013, I should say, the 12-13 season. Like, it's been Spurs, Heat, the LeBron years, Spurs in the late 90s with David Robinson, and then the Jordan-led Bulls. That's basically it for teams that are this old that can win a title. And I just don't feel really confident in the roster construction. I don't like their draft. I think Pods didn't play well in Summer League.
No.
Tracy Jackson Davis, I think will actually be, or Trace Jackson Davis, I think will be really good for them as a bench piece, but he's a depth piece for them. I just don't love the roster construction. I think they're under 50 games because Steph, who knows how healthy Steph will be. The CP3 thing, I don't think it's a good fit. I think they're going to really struggle. I don't know if you saw the Steph comments yesterday. Via the Athletic,
that actually that's making me bullish on them actually, because I feel like Steph's finally putting his foot down and he's like, no, let's stop fucking around. Like, let's stop fucking around. I am one of the best players in the history of this game, and I have a couple years left, and we are going to win titles. We're going to compete for titles now. I wish he did that 5 years ago. I think they are. I don't think that 49.5 is too many. That's way too many games to say that they're going to win 50 games this year after what we saw from them last year. And you could say they got marginally better with Chris Paul. The vibes should be better than what they were. I think a fun little stupid bet that I kind of like here is Jonathan Kuminga, 6th man of the year. I think that's like a fun little sprinkle. If you think the Warriors are going to be good, he needs to be really, really good this year for them, because their depth is going to be a problem. Like Kuminga, Moody, CP3, that's going to be their 8, right? I imagine they roll out Steph, Clay, Wiggins, Draymond, Looney, and then those 3 coming off the bench are going to be their important pieces. And they lost DiVincenzo. But yeah, I actually like them in the playoffs. I hate this number. I think this number is way too high. And again, same thing. I just think the West is going to be very competitive. I think all of them could win 45 games. So I'm gonna take the under with that one.
Yeah, and the other thing you have to consider is offensively, when you lose Poole, say what you want about his turnovers, he played every game last year, right? And you're gonna have to fill that hole offensively. And I don't think the second team of Kuminga, CP3, whether you're putting Clay or Draymond on that second team, they just got it's a little bit of a messy team. And GP2, I just don't see where they get to 50 games offensively.
No way. They're not getting to 50 games. It's a stupid number. That's like a Vegas bet where they're just kind of like, hey, everybody loves the Warriors, so like this is easy money. It's like when people bet on the Mets to win the World Series with the 3rd best odds at the beginning of this year. Shout out the Mets. That's dumpster fire of a team. We got 2 left here, and now we're in the 50 range. The Suns are at 51.5, and you want to talk about like playing all the games. That's what this is going to come down to. So you've got Kevin Durant, who, injury luck has been brutal the last couple of seasons. You have Bradley Beal, who, as mentioned on this show a bunch of times, loves health and safety protocols. You have Devin Booker, who usually is able to play a ton of games. He dealt with that groin injury last year. And then they obviously still have DeAndre Ayton. Maybe the vibes are better now that they've got a new coach and that Chris Paul is gone. You've got a Kogi. Eric Gordon was a good pickup for them. So it's just kind of like, if this team, I'll pose it this question to you. Do you think, like, if this team is healthy, it's over? If they're not, it's under? Is that kind of just how you're approaching this, or where are you at?
I just think the number is super high, man. Like, teams don't win 55 plus games very often. And even when we go to where the Suns number is, which is 51.5, like, winning 52 games in the NBA is fucking hard. Mm-hmm. And given this team's injury concerns on a night-to-night basis, do we think this team is going to win 52, 53 games? Like, I don't know, but I'm actually going to take the over. You know, I know that sounds crazy. Like, only two teams won more than 50 games last year in the West, the Nuggets and the Grizz. But like,
Yeah.
I think even given the injury issues, I think Katie's going to play night tonight pretty regularly. Booker's going to be fucking awesome for this team. I love their bench pieces. Like, I like that they added guys like Yuta, who can stretch the floor a little bit for them. Yeah, Boston Base, you're not wrong. Like, I gave you all of the reasons why they won't do it. I just have blind faith in stars in this case that, like, they'll have enough nights where they're going to put up big numbers. There are questions defensively, like real and serious questions defensively. You have a new coach in Frank Vogel. Like, all of these things are real and serious questions as to why they're not going to win 52 games. I just blindly have faith that I think this Suns team has a top heavy of enough roster and that their ceiling is good enough that they're just going to drag themselves to 52 games. And I know, like, none of the numbers entirely support that. And historically, they don't either. But I blindly have faith in the Suns team.
So let me ask you this, because we're going to do the Nuggets next. We can actually kind of do this together because the Nuggets are at 54.5. You have the Lakers over 48.5. So do you have, because even I don't know how I feel about the Nuggets at 54.5 yet, but I think the Nuggets are, but I think they're going to win 50 games. So
yes. Oh no.
Do you think three teams are going to win 50 games in the West? Do you think it's going to be the Lakers, Suns, and Nuggets?
Yeah.
Say that again.
And I might even throw the Kings in there too.
So four teams winning over 50 games.
I think historically we've seen as little as one, and as many as five.
I would love to. We're not going to do this now, but I would love to see, of the times that four or more won 50 games, how many teams were in the 20 game wins in the 20. Like, because that's my issue.
Usually it's a couple.
Yeah, and that's my issue this year. And that's why I kind of was like, anybody in the low 40s I went over, everybody in the high 40s I've gone under. That's my issue. I just think there's no easy wins except when they play the East. And they don't play the East as much. So I don't know. It's going to be close. I think anyways, to finish on the Suns here, I think like 50 sound like if it was 49.5, I'd say over. 51.5 makes me a little bit nervous, but I think they're going to be the second best team in the West. I do. I think it's got, I'm almost talking myself into the Lakers as the 3 seed. I still think, and now we can like pivot to Denver at 54.5. I think 54.5 is way too high. I still think they're clearly the best team in the West. And I think Jamal Murray, you're now going to get like a full, there's not like, oh, does he still have it? You know, like that's as they were feeling themselves out the first like 30 games of the year. He's going to come back and he's like good right away. And I know they lost Bruce Brown, but I imagine Christian Brown takes some more of that responsibility. So I still like the Nuggets to win in the 50s, but I think I just wouldn't bet on this one. I think I'd say under 54.5.
I take the under too. I mean, the thing for me is, and this is the underrated thing about losing Bruce Brown to me, is they're going to struggle a little bit. And this is going to sound crazy given that this is a Jokic-led team. They're going to struggle a little bit with their initial ball making or their initial playmaking. I know Jokic does a lot of this. And Jokic has been predominantly healthy through a lot of this run, even going back to a couple years ago when they were the 6th seed. It's been great. But that said, one of the key reasons why they were as good as they were, 11-1 in their last 12 games in the playoffs, was Bruce Brown took over as a playmaker and ball initiator for them. And I think they're really going to miss that. I also think they're going to miss Jeff Green as a backup depth piece. And like, I know Uncle Jeff has his warts for better or worse, but like, I think this idea of just throwing Christian Brown in there and being like, we're good. You know, I just, let me put it this way. I would rather have had Jeff Green than Reggie Jackson. And the only reason they re-signed Reggie Jackson is they were real concerned about what this roster looks like on, you know, a Saturday night against Charlotte.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. I do think the Bruce Brown thing was obviously a loss. I do think Christian Brown is going to be better this year. I loved what I saw from him. I also thought some of their draft picks, like they had 3 first-round picks this year. They had the 29th pick, who was the dude from Gonzaga, Julian Strother, who looked fine in Summer League. Yeah, Jalen Pickett was the 32nd pick. But the dude that I'm like really excited about, who is probably only going to play like 18 to 20 minutes a game, if that, but he's just going to come in and shoot fucking darts, is Hunter Tyson. And he was this, I kept saying went to Duke. I have no idea if he went to Duke, but if you see a photo of him, you're like, oh, this dude went to Duke. And I know it's just Summer League. In Summer League, the dude was a bucket. Like, he was catch and shoot, was creating his own threes. He could just shoot lights out. And I think having another piece like that, because really Michael Porter Jr. was their only guy that you would just kind of green light his 3-point, and Jamal Murray, of course, but to just have a spot up shooter that's that Jokic is going to be finding all over the place. I think it's just going to be like a fun toy for Jokic this year. And I'm kind of excited about that. So I agree. I think the Nuggets are under 54.5. I think that's too many. I still think they win over 50. And I still think they're going to be the 1 seed in the West, unless they kind of go out of their way to be like, we do not give a shit about this regular season. And we just want to be healthy for the playoffs.
Well, Hunter did not go to Duke. He did go to Clemson.
Yeah. So Duke,
Duke. Yeah, exactly. And look, my man's name is Hunter Tyson, which just an awesome name. All time, like you are definitely a dude who's in the a white dude in the NBA. The same way, by the way, that I'll make a second Cooper Flagg reference. Same way I feel about like Cooper and Ace Flagg. Just 2 dudes who could be like, if you don't make it in the NBA, you could be like C-level action stars. Like, that's just kind of where you guys are right now. Just great, awesome names.
No, Cooper Flagg sounds like a bad guy in Justified. That's kind of what he sounds like. He sounds like where were you on January 6th, Cooper?
And for the record, I will take the Nuggets under here as well. It's really, really difficult to win 55+ games. And I think winning we're over the hour here, but what I would just say generally is teams after that you win a title, it's very difficult to repeat, and teams tend to take the next year off. Things get weird. I don't think they won 55 games.
Yeah. I just, for the record, want to say multiple times today, Weisberg said it's really hard to win 50 games in the NBA, and he's got 4 teams over 50 games. So,
hey, look, man, I firmly believe in the Western Conference, and we're going to talk about the East tomorrow, next week.
Next week, yeah.
There's some bad teams in the East, man. Like really, really bad teams, and
there's gonna be some bad ones. Also, Regulator, how dare you, Regulator? All right, we're gonna wrap this up here as we are over the time. Jump Shoot, I didn't sing Happy Birthday, and honestly, I don't have it in me right now. I apologize, but
I don't either.
We will say Happy Birthday. Everybody, go watch Tandy today at 4:00. Go celebrate him. Send him some nice stuff. I don't know. Send him some moments.
He's got some good pack giveaways coming. Like,
yeah,
he's got a lot going on.
Yeah, so go check that out. We'll be back tomorrow morning with the NBA Bit at 9 a.m. Make sure, go back and watch the 89 Cavs last night if you missed it. We had a really good time. It was a lot of fun. But for Weisberg, anything to plug before you get out of here?
No, I do have one last what if from yesterday. Just a thought. What if Reggie Lewis doesn't die from cocaine overdose?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Just saying. like
Len Bias,
sorry, Len Bias, not Reggie Lewis. Reggie Lewis died of a heart attack. Still, principle. Len Bias is the main one. Yeah,
it's a cocaine fueled heart attack, though. All right, we're gonna
maybe.
I think that was proven. All right, we're gonna get out of here. For Mike and myself, thanks for hanging out. We will be back tomorrow. Have a good rest of the day. We are out.